Kremlin has acknowledged China's proposal for a political solution in Ukraine, but has also added that the conditions for a peaceful resolution of the conflict are not in place at the moment, and therefore the so-called military operations in Ukraine will continue. Earlier, the Biden administration added Chinese and Russian companies to a trade blacklist for allegedly supporting the Russian military. China said that it would take resolute countermeasures in response to U.S. sanctions. Take a listen.
美方的行径没有任何国际法依据，也没有安理会授权，是典型的非法单边制裁和长臂管辖，严重损害中方利益。中方对此强烈不满和坚决反对，已向美方提出严正交涉。
The United States is watching China's moves on the Russia-Ukraine war very closely. U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan has vowed real consequences for China if it moves ahead with providing lethal aid to Russia.
We have at this point not seen them take the step of providing weapons to Russia for purposes of the war in Ukraine. We are watching closely. We know they haven't taken it off the table, and we are sending a clear message, as are our European allies, that this would be a real mistake because those weapons would be used to bombard cities and kill civilians, and China should want no part of that.
The United States and its NATO allies in recent days have been scrambling to dissuade China from such a move, making public comments on their belief that China is considering providing lethal equipment to Russia. Last February, before Russia invaded Ukraine, Russia and China signed a no-limit partnership. The economic link between Russia and China have also deepened, and Western suspicion has grown stronger. China has not condemned the conflict. In Bakhmut, the commander of Ukrainian ground forces, Colonel General Syrskiev, visited the town. He visited Bakhmut to boost morale and discuss strategy with the units. According to military experts, Ukraine will put maximum effort to defend Bakhmut in the coming days. Russia has made the capture of Bakhmut a priority in its strategy to take control of Ukraine's eastern Donbas region. Well, for more on this, our correspondent Anas Malik joins us live from Kyiv. Anas, great to see you. Thank you for joining us. Ever since China's peace proposal last Friday, there have been varied reactions, first from Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky announcing his willingness to meet the Chinese president on the one hand, to U.S. President Joe Biden and his entire administration basically doubting the proposal, saying that it basically had no merit, and for the international community not to be fooled. Now, Russia is acknowledging the proposal, but says that conditions for a peaceful solution or a resolution is not in place. Are they all reading into this so-called peace plan differently on purpose?
Well, they're certainly reading into in different directions or in different dimensions, Susan. It won't be wrong to say because the Chinese plan, while it talks about de-escalation and basically gains or somewhat of a face-saver for both the sides, the Russian side refuses to give up, and Russian side is of the opinion that it is currently not the opportune time to end the hostilities, and rather they would want to, quote, continue with this specialized military operation in Ukraine, unquote. So at this point of time, that is an indicator that the Russian side would want or is signaling to Ukraine and to other parties that the Western influence vis-a-vis the backing of Ukraine needs to be mellowed down, needs to be lowered down, and only then Russia would believe that it is an opportune time for peace talks. Otherwise, it's not happening. Susan?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's important to note that this so-called peace plan by China would basically freeze the front lines of the war. It would possibly give Russia swaths of Ukrainian land. So Ukraine is not happy with that, but then Russia isn't happy with that either because it wouldn't be able to advance if it does have plans to do that. Okay, so all sides have their respective takes. How is the situation on the ground panning out right now?
Well, we've been here for a week now, for over a week, in fact, now, Susan. We were here last year, and if I take a stock or if I take an account of how the situation is, minus parts of south and the situation in east, the west and center and parts of north are relatively in calm. It is what it looks like that the people of Ukraine have internalized the conflict, and they have now come to terms with the reality, which is the war, and that is what they have to continue their lives with. Earlier today we heard those air raid sirens, but nobody moved, and that is an indicator that people would want to take this as business as usual. People would want to continue with their daily routine irrespective of whatever that is happening in their surroundings, but at the same time deeply mourning and deeply fearful of the fact that the war can strike back. But and on the contrary, they're also hopeful that this just might end soon with a Ukrainian victory. Susan?